Hello everyone, Jolene here from Bookworm Adventure Girl. Welcome back. I hope that you are all doing well. If you are new, thanks so much for checking out my channel. Please hit subscribe and stick around. Today I am going to be doing a video that has been in the making for quite some time. I'm going to be sharing books that I've put on my TBR because of you. And I've done a few of these videos in the past. It allows me to share some books that are on my radar, books that have me curious, and also to shout out other booktubers, subscribers, Instagrammers, and friends. So these people have influenced me to think about picking up these books. So I'm going to leave links to the previous videos that I've done like this. So if you are looking for recommendations on books or even on BookTubers, please check them out. I will also leave links to all of the channels and videos that I mention, so you can check them out as well. And I'm also hoping to be sharing with you some of the books that I've actually read, the ones that are because of you. So that, I hope to post a video like that in the not too distant future. Now, I usually do 2 to 4 of these videos a year, but this year I had so many other things going on that it's been a while, which means that this list has just continually grown and it's very close to getting out of hand. So let's get to it. First up, on Valentine's Day, yes, I am going back that far. I watched a video from Bob the Bookerer on Valentine's Day, and he talked about a book that sounded so endearing. It's called One Last Song by Nathan Evan. The story is about 2 elderly men in a nursing home, and at first it is about their friendship and how different the 2 men are, but then their relationship becomes much more. And Bob spoke very tenderly about this book, and I just thought it sounded, different than most books that I've read, especially since the characters are older. There aren't enough stories with older characters, in my opinion. Bob also did an interview with the author, so if you are interested in that, please check that out. Next up is a newer channel, Max Day, who is now at 100 subscribers. Congratulations on that wonderful milestone. It's huge, so way to go, Max. Max did their first wrap-up video back in February, and in that wrap-up, they talked about Isaac and the Egg by Bobby Palmer. So this is a book about grief and loss and finding your way through that. Max described it as heartwarming, quirky, and a feel-good read. You all know I love all those things. So this is not a book that I would have picked up on my own, but Max really made me want to read it. So if you haven't already checked out Max's channel, please get to their channel. Get over there. Spread some BookTube love. Okay, you can probably hear Jack's crying. He wants to be part of the action. He just wants to be up here. Okay, many of you already know that I follow Canada Reads, and I do a lot of videos about Canada Reads, basically from when the long list comes out to when the debates happen in March. So Karen Weatherald, a subscriber, buddy reader extraordinaire, and friend, commented on the video where I reacted to, I think it was to the shortlist. The shortlist, and I think I did a winner prediction. So one of the books on the shortlist was The Future by Leroux. It ended up winning, in fact, but it was not my cup of tea. Karen, however, told me about Madame Victoria by Leroux, which is translated from the French by Lazer Lederhendler. And I've now talked about this book several times. So you won't be surprised if you've been, watching my videos over the last month or so. This book is inspired by true events. When a woman's remains were found in Montreal, and they were never able to identify her. And in this book, Catherine Leroux reimagines her life. Actually, she does it like 12 times. She imagines 12 different lives for her. And I'm very intrigued by this. And I am so grateful to Koren for bringing this to my attention. From my January wrap-up video, another subscriber and channel member is Justine, who highly recommended the Jade, Peony by Wayson Choy. I believe she read it because it is a debut and it fit a prompt for the Reading Across Canada challenge. So this book is set in Vancouver's Chinatown in the 1930s and 40s. Justine said that the character voices are strong. There are complicated family dynamics and cultural clashes. I love all of those things. Well, at least I love all of those things in my books. So this is one that I will definitely be picking up when I have the chance. Next is Kaitlyn from Bandy's Books. If you don't already subscribe to Kaitlyn's channel, please check it out. I love hearing her talk about books, and her dog, oh my goodness, her dog. Her dog is just a chunk of love and always makes me smile. So in my video, 10 highest rated books on my TBR according to Goodreads, I talked about Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer, and how I have not read this book, I do not know, because it's one of those books I know I am going to absolutely love it. Everyone loves this book. So Kaitlyn is an enabler because she commented and was like, when you finish that book, you need to pick up Fresh Banana Leaves by Jessica Hernandez. So I read that comment and was like, yes, I do. And I wrote down the title right away. And it was basically, like Kaitlyn was like, once you've tasted the drug of braiding sweetgrass, I have something more for you. And I was all over it. And I'm guessing that this will also be nature writing. So I'm really looking forward to reading both of these books. Heidi at My Reading Life. I was watching Heidi's February wrap-up video, and she talked about a book that I have now seen a number of times, but at the time I hadn't heard of it. It's a nonfiction called Master, Slave, Husband, Wife by Ilyon Wu. This is about a couple who is enslaved and how they try to escape by the wife passing as a white man and her husband acting as her slave. I am very intrigued by this, and Heidi convinced me that I have to get this one. She said it was compulsively readable, so that did it for me. Brett Benner's video of March possibilities. Now, it turns out it had probably like 3 or 4 books that I am very interested in. He begins with what he called a monster of a book, because it is like 600-ish pages, and that is Hours by Phillip B. Williams. And Brett read the blurb, and I thought, that's a book that needs to go on my TBR. So the story takes place over several decades. The main character is a woman named Saint who tries to protect people in an isolated community, and the community is named Hours. It has themes of slavery, freedom, and spirituality. I'm really curious about this story. In case you were interested in the other books that I was kind of checking out from this video, I also want to read Sociopath by Patrice Gagne, and a book that I have talked about in my video on 30 Canadian authors to keep an eye on is The Other Valley, and that's by Scott Alexander Howard. The next recommendation is from a subscriber and channel member, Audrey Jo, who commented on my video 10 biggest books that I've read according to Goodreads, where I talk about these mammoth books. And Audrey Jo said her favorite mammoth book last year was Kristin Lavransdatter by Sigrid Undset, and it's translated from the Norwegian by Tina Nanali. Now, when I first saw the title, I thought that it might be Icelandic, so not too far off. Audrey Jo wasn't kidding when she said that it was a big book. It's like well over 1,100 pages, but it is a series of 3 books together, and it was originally published in 1920. So for a book to be, published in 80 different languages that long ago, to be this big of a commitment, and it's considered to be one of the world's most read novels. I feel like, first of all, I should have heard about this, long before now, and I am very interested to read it. It's a little late this year for Women in Translation, but I think that I will keep it on my radar for next year. For this next recommendation, I watched Book Talks with Mrs. Thomas and her June wrap-up. She was very enthusiastically talking about The Happy Life of Isadora Bentley. This is by Courtney Walsh. This book seems to have the type of character that I love, like a little quirky with an interesting personality, and this just sounds like a fun read. The main character, Isadora, is turning 30, and she finds an article about 30 plus ways of being happy, and she decides to try the 30 things to prove it wrong. And it's about her adventures along the way. So this totally sounds like a delightful read that I think I will enjoy. Next, my buddy AJ from AJ Dunn Reads and Writes. They did a video with Pride Month book recs, which was excellent. And from that video, I added Poor Dear by Claire Oshetsky. I added that to my TBR. The main character is young when her friend dies. I think they're about 7 years old. And the little girl thinks that this might be her fault. And the story, it's about grief and guilt and how this has affected the main character throughout her life. So AJ gave this 5 stars. And we have similar tastes in our reading. So I'm really hoping that I enjoy it as much as they did. Okay, I have a few more to go here, so thanks for sticking with me. Kim at Middle of the Book March, in one of her Bookish Week videos in July, she talked about the book The Wall by Marlon Haushoder, maybe? Translated from the German by Sean Whiteside. When Kim explained the concept of this story, I was hooked. It's about a woman who goes to a hunting lodge with some friends, and the friends go into town and they never return. And then the next morning, she tries to figure out what's going on, and she goes out to the woods. She has their dog, and she realizes that there is an invisible wall surrounding the area. So this is one of those premises that I have to know what happens. I have to read this book. So then I was watching Lauren from Lauren and the Books. She did her July wrap-up, and she talked about a memoir that I thought sounded pretty good, and it's called Speak Okinawa by Elizabeth Mickey Brina. Lauren said that she was gripped by this memoir, and the relationship between the daughter and mother sounds quite complicated, but it develops over time, and I think that I will also like the history and culture of Okinawa that is brought into this story. For these next recommendations, we have to head over to Instagram, where at the end of July, I did a post about 5-star reads because I've read some good books this year, but none that have just blown me away. I'm looking for that book that I just fall madly in love with, that I want to gush about to anyone who will let me, anybody who will listen. And that just hasn't happened yet this year. So when I post to Instagram, it also goes to the Bookworm Adventure Girl Facebook page. And 2 people commented on that. So Sandra, who recommended This Is How It Always Is by Laurie Frankel, she called this book astonishing. That's a very strong descriptive. So, of course, I went and looked into it. And, yep, it immediately went on the TBR. This is about a family who have a 5-year-old boy who loves wearing dresses and dreams of being a princess. And the family is fine with him being who he wants to be, but they aren't sharing that with the rest of the world. And eventually this secret explodes. So that's another book that I think I'm going to love. So thank you to Sandra for putting that on my radar. Now, Koren commented, full disclosure here, I know Koren in real life. She is an avid reader, and she knows me well enough, I think, to know what type of books, I would enjoy. So she recommended The End of Drum Time by Hannah Pilvanen. Koren didn't elaborate on the recommendation, but she doesn't have to, because I know that if she's bringing it to my attention, it's worth it, it's for a good reason, and I need to look into it, which of course I did. So this is not a book that I would have probably picked up on my own, but it has a wintry vibe to it, so I might see if I can get a copy for the wintry season. This story takes place in the 1850s in the Arctic Circle. It is about a reindeer herder and a minister's daughter. As soon as there's a minister's daughter, there's going to be trouble. So this is actually a love story. And as I was reading the blurb, it felt like it would have a whimsical kind of vibe or magical feel to it. So I hope that that's true. Sticking with Instagram for this next recommendation, Rebecca from Canada Reads American Style, she posted a recommendation on August the 5th that first got my attention because of the gorgeous cover. This is Widow Fantasies by Holly Gattery. Now, I like the title too. So this is a short story collection about women of all ages sharing their experiences. And this is supposed to be published on September 1st, and it's less than 100 pages. So it's perfect for shorty September. I might be picking this up shortly. Last but certainly not least is another newer to me BookTube channel, Benjamin from Benjamin's Book Club. Benjamin did the Don't You Forget About Me book tag, which, by the way, thank you to everyone who has done that tag. There's been a lot of people who's been doing it, and it's been great to hear all of your answers. I will leave a playlist in the description box so you can see everyone's videos. So for the prompt, books you will never forget, Benjamin talked about a novella called A Short Stay in Hell by Stephen L. Peck. And it's about a man who dies and goes to hell. Now, hell is a library with every book ever written in it. That sounds more like heaven to me, right? So that got my attention. But the man has to find the book that tells the story of his life. And once he finds that, he's free to go. Now, Benjamin said that this is probably the scariest book that he's ever read, psychologically scary, and I am very intrigued by this one. So thanks again to everyone for all of these recommendations. I will eventually get to them. Please let me know if you have read any of these, or are there any that interest you? Has someone recommended a really good book to you recently, you know, that you immediately went and put it on your TBR? I can't wait to hear all about it. I look forward to chatting with you in the comments. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and don't forget to make every day an adventure.